Before I begin, I want to preface this video by saying you should definitely play the game for yourself. It is a phenomenal game full of adorable moments that just might melt your heart. That being said, this video will contain spoilers, so if you're concerned about that, you should definitely go play the game before watching this video. However, if you're not going to be playing the game, or you just don't remember what happens, I'm going to recap the whole story here. The story starts out with you waiting out a storm with your family. Once past, you begin to follow your family through the outskirts of the walled city where our story takes place. During this journey, you attempt to jump a piece of piping that collapses under you, and you fall deep into the city. Waking up, you lick your wounds and journey further into the city, following the many signs being lit up by an unknown character. It is during this trip that you are met with one of the main enemies in the game, the Zurks, an organic creature that feeds upon pretty much anything and whose only weakness is extreme light. Upon arriving at the destination set for you by this unknown character, you find out that the signs were being sent by an AI named B12, who was uploaded to the network controlling the city. You help transfer their AI into a drone and they accompany you throughout most of the story. You then travel to the slums of this city where you meet various robots called the Companions, who exhibit behaviors much like that of humans whom they learn to replicate after years of companionship with them and accompanied isolation after the disappearance of the humans. You meet up with one companion named Momo, who's a part of a group known as the Outsiders. Their goal is to see the outside world by any means possible. You begin to help Momo collect the journals of other outsiders who've long since left the slums in search of reaching the outside. Upon completion of your many tasks to leave the slums, you end up traveling through the sewers to get to a place known as Midtown. However, you're required to leave Momo behind as they are unable to deal with the many dangers and Zurks that lie in the sewers. On your way to Midtown, you find an oasis called Ant Village, where several more companions live their lives hoping one day to be able to escape the walled city and see the outside world. It is here that you also learn that B12 isn't just a regular AI, but was a human that uploaded their consciousness into the network of the city. The companions here are all heavily inspired by the Outsiders, and this is where you meet the third member, Sebaltazar. They encourage you to locate the final outsider who has found a way out of the city and tells you where to find them. Upon leaving, you find yourself in Midtown, an equally dangerous area where the main threat isn't organic creatures that want to eat you, but an oppressive regime of robots known as Sentinels who are tasked with keeping the peace and ensuring no one leaves the city to reach the control center up above. You meet with the final outsider here named Clementine. Clementine helps you escape Midtown by teaching you of a plan to hijack the power supply of the factory in town and using it to turn the power back on for a subway leading to the control center. This heist, however, goes wrong as you are betrayed by the one who helped you sneak into the factory and you're thrown into jail along with Clementine and B12. You must mount an escape and break out of the prison, but doing so alerts every sentinel in the city to chase after you. Clementine decides to risk sacrificing themselves to distract the sentinels and allow you to escape to the control center where, with the help of B12, you unlock the city and open up the walls for everyone to be free, killing all the Zurks with the sunlight and disabling the sentries. Doing so requires an intense amount of power, and sadly B12 overloads their system in the process, killing the drone. Finally, you and all the companions are free to roam the earth, and you can finally go out and look for your family. Now that I've recapped the game, I would like to rewind to the themes touched on in this game. The main themes are that of memories, death, and what it means to be human. The first theme I want to cover is memories, why they are important, and how our memories persist after our passing. Memories play a huge role in this game, as one of the main objectives is to recover all the memories of B12. This is done through discovering landmarks, graffiti, and other notable items that remind B12 of something in their past. Memories are probably the most important currency humanity has. Our history is so important to us that even little kids know the saying, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." Without memories, we cannot learn. Without learning, we cannot move forward. But if memories are just information stored in our minds, how do they persist after we pass? Well, that is what we call history. Our history is the memories of our ancestors passed down through the centuries. For example, in Stray, the memories of humans have gone with the passing of the last humans, but the memories of the companions persist and continue the legacy of humanity. They continue to run shops and clubs as if the humans never left, including the barber shop, despite an obvious lack of hair on any of the customers who frequent the establishment.
The barber shop was a social hub where people would gather, talk, tell jokes, share secrets. It was a fun place. Even after the humans were gone, the companions kept the shop going. Turns out hair is not a necessary ingredient for a successful barber shop.
The companions figured out the necessity for social interaction and engagement. They did this by mimicking the memories of humanity they held. This game surrounds you with death. When you first enter the walled city, you run into a dying robot reaching out for help. You run into sites like this everywhere, whether it is the glitched and malfunctioning robots in the jail or the decaying remains of where humanity once lived. You can't help but face the morbid reality that this world presents. When the world becomes uninhabitable due to the greed of humanity and capitalism, the survivors forced into shelters to await the natural resurrection of nature, the darkest nature of humanity would prevail in this world, and class divides would become ever more prevalent, where you can physically see the upper and lower classes separated by elevators and walls. All that effort made to separate the classes made irrelevant when the same plague kills off everyone.
This is the control room for the entire city. They controlled everything from here, and it's empty. I remember hating them so much. They had everything. Clean space, limitless power, the freedom to move. Little good it did them. The plague. I remember now. Everyone was dying, and they thought they were above it all. They did nothing to help us. I watched my family die. I felt helpless. I couldn't do anything to save them.
These class divides separate us today, and the people at the top view themselves as untouchable by the reality we are facing with the inevitable climate disaster that awaits us. They know that if the worst comes, they will still be at the top and able to weather the storm in comfort. But for how long will that last? This game presents the idea that upon the collapse of the environment, the people at the top would continue to exist in comfort until finally a great plague erases those class divides by indiscriminately killing all those who thought themselves untouchable, along with those they exploited. Death is final, absolute, and indiscriminate. It comes for all of us eventually, and the less we try to better reality for everyone, the more those deaths will result in hardships and pain for everyone. What does it mean to be human in a world where humans have all died off? There are many examples of the companions exhibiting humanity. B12 even says,
I thought that I needed to carry on the memories of humanity, to hold on to the past, but I see a future in the companions. And you.
B12, the last remnant of humanity, sees the potential of those that are left behind. He knows the companions are capable of the continued existence of humanity in this world devoid of humans. What is the importance of humanity continuing? In this world, humans brought about the destruction of the environment and forced everyone into shelters, forcing them to be subservient to the corporate interests that built and operated these shelters. This greed, destruction, and exploitation is also prevalent throughout human history. So why should anyone care that humanity persists within the bounds of these AI we created? Because I would argue that the exploitation and destruction that brought about the end of the world isn't a symptom of humanity, an inevitability that is doomed to be replicated, but a mere facet of our society that I remain hopeful will be removed before this reality becomes our own. At the very least, I know that humanity can learn from the mistakes of the past, and given the opportunity to rebuild from scratch, may not repeat the cycle of exploitation that exists in our world. At the end of the day, these are just my views on the game. Your opinions may be different, and I'd love to read them down in the comments below. I will try my best to reply to everyone and even discuss more down there. I'd like to give a special shout out to Rambleline for helping me with the voiceover for B12. They make phenomenal videos, and I'd highly recommend checking them out. I'll leave a link in the description as well. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like, and if you loved it, go ahead and subscribe to see more content like this in the future. I am hoping to cover other beautiful and thought-provoking games, and if you have any recommendations for games you'd like to see me cover, go ahead and leave a recommendation down below. As for now, that's all from me, and I'll catch you in the next video.